Another Republican Party affiliate now is facing trial on charges for allegedly sex trafficking children. You see the mugshot there? Anton Tony Larazzo, well-connected Republican donor who is going on trial Tuesday to face federal charges for his child sex ring. Here are some of the disturbing details in the case. Lazzaro is charged with 7 counts involving commercial sex acts with 5 minors ages 15 and 16 in 2020. He was 30 years old. His indictment touched off a political firestorm that led to the downfall of Jennifer Carnahan as chair of the Republican Party of Minnesota. Here is Jennifer Carnahan, Minnesota GOP chair, who stepped down following the unfolding turmoil. Larazzo donated more than $270,000 to over a dozen state Republican Party campaigns and committees while having an especially close affiliation with the GOP chair. They like to go to those Vikings games. Larazzo donated more than $270,000. That's a lot of money. Rose to prominence in the Minnesota GOP after he became part of the team that helped Carnahan unexpectedly ascend to the role of chair in 2017. Their close relationship continued with Lazzaro, one of the few invited to Carnahan and her husband's first district Congressman Jim Hagedorn's 2018 wedding in California. That according to Fox 9, the pair hosted a podcast together in 2019-2020 entitled #Truth Matters. And Hagedorn was the recipient of Lazzaro's largest donations to the tune of $31,000. Carnahan also spoke highly of Lazzaro's conduct. First podcast episode, Carnahan describes Lazzaro as one of the biggest advocates and champions in the Republican Party of Minnesota. The political upheaval follows Lazzaro's conduct as several details from the prosecutor's brief outline the deviant nature of the case. Lazzaro had a stated sexual preference for young, tiny girls and liked them broken and vulnerable. Once they arrived at Lazzaro's apartment, a similar pattern ensued. Lazzaro would brag about his wealth and connections. He would give the girls, small and young, hard liquor. He would take out stacks of cash and offer the girls precise sums of money to perform certain acts with him and with each other. 100 to kiss, 400 for sex, and so forth. He would send them home with cash, vapes, alcohol, Plan B, cell phones, and other items of value. Larazzo, who trafficked the underage girls having cars send them to his luxury condo in downtown Minneapolis, had networked himself deeply within the Republican factions. Here he can be seen standing with mutual admiration alongside some more prolific party figures: Donald Trump, Mike Pence, Lindsey Graham, Marco Rubio, Tucker Carlson. These are his friends? I don't know, but he's taking the pictures with them. They all seem happy to do it. Since standing trial, a report revealed that Larazzo was also facing an additional lawsuit for attempting to bribe one girl's parents with $1,000 in hush money and a non-disclosure agreement. This is where he stands. The charges against Lazzaro, who has been jailed since his arrest and has been denied bail, carry mandatory minimum sentences of 10 years with a max potential of life in prison. Minnesota GOP said to have deliberated on the case Friday, but have thus far declined to release an official statement. If it were me, Ben, perhaps you wouldn't have to ask me for a statement. I'd be before the camera saying, I don't know this deviant who apparently likes to abuse children. What are those pictures with all those important GOP National Party members say to you?
Yeah, I mean, this is just like, stories like these are absolutely disgusting. And it's so infuriating the way that, like, this happens with great regularity, right? This happens with extreme regularity with these right wingers. And like, and it's not just right wingers, but it's also like, I mean, they're like, this happens with priests, this happens with people in the Boy Scouts, this happens in like a ton of different like places. And there's so many layers to it. The first layer of it is obviously the problem of wealth and the way that we allow wealth in this country to define whether or not somebody faces criminal consequences. Now, this person is facing some consequence, but like, this person is the outlier, and that's what should be more sickening, right? That's what should be more sickening to people, is that this is the outlier. And now it begs the question of, well, Republicans are in these circles, and we know that this is happening like all the time. Why are Republicans so focused on like targeting queer folks? Why are Republicans so focused on quote unquote protecting children? Why are they focused on all of these things? Well, it's actually quite simple, because everything that they say that they're doing in order to protect children actively put children in danger. They actively make it easier for children to be exploited by these people. When they create conditions of economic struggle, they put people in positions where they're more easily to be exploited. When they make it so that teachers cannot teach children about like basic components of like consent and things like that, it makes it easier for children to be exploited. And when they when they do things like criminalize queerness, it's about like making it easier to victimize young queer people. And so what I think is really important to understand is a lot of people will take what Republicans say and do and think that is hypocrisy, right? So like the lieutenant governor of Tennessee, who got caught like thirsting after Twinks on Instagram or whatever, he's not a hypocrite for supporting anti-gay legislation. That's not hypocritical of him, because you see, people like that want queer folks to be more easily exploited. These people view queer folks as just objects for their own sexual interests, right? And so it's not that they're being hypocritical. It's that they want people put into positions where they can be more easily exploited. And so like fundamentally, the way that conservatives view children, they view children as property. And that is fundamentally why they are so against the idea. That's why they think they're protecting children from like basic sex education in schools, or like even just the knowledge of like queerness and things like that. Because what they're protecting children from is anything that would give young people the tools to assert themselves, to protect themselves, and to communicate with adults that could actually be protectors in their lives, to communicate with adults that would actually be safe, so that they can say and they understand, have the language and tools to explain to people around them when somebody's trying to exploit them in this way. And so like, everything about this story is just absolutely sickening, and it speaks to the depravity of the Republican Party in general, in my
view. Wow, so much of what you said, I couldn't help it, but I kept thinking, remember, it was a crime to teach the slaves to read, right? Because if they started to read and dream and understand more, boy, that would threaten everything, wouldn't it? Wow, Ben.